It's Wednesday, July 2nd, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Bravest Warriors.
That doesn't sound very brave.
Let's do this. Lately, I found that a bunch of our friends, just talking about anime, they're watching almost like point for point all the shows we watched over the last 3 years at a delay of about 3 years. People are like, all our friends are just starting to catch up on shows that we were watching between 1 and 3 years ago.
But meanwhile, most of the people on the internet are watching like every current show and have watched the shows we were watching 100 years ago.
Yep. But like, I got a message from someone recently who was like, oh my God, episode 3 of Madoka. And then someone else was like, oh my God, Senketsu and Kill La Kill.
Well, that wasn't 3 years ago.
No. But I've got all these people in this staggered like tale catching up on anime. I feel like I'm going to be able to talk about all the shows I like repeatedly the same way that happened to us with the Prince of Nothing book.
It's better to be in their position where you watch it for the first time and then talk about it with the people who are already bored of it.
The thing is, sometimes when you do that, you get in a situation where you're like, man, I just saw a cool thing in the Prince of Nothing. And they're like, yeah, well, you haven't gotten to the cool part yet. Or, oh, wait till you find out what happens to that character.
Well, you know, the darkness that comes before.
Yep. I mean, they entered the circle inscribed by his sword.
They sure did.
Oh my God, that new Prince of Nothing book. R. Scott Bakker can't write fast enough.
No, you can't.
Especially now that
Literally.
I'm pretty much reading the last culture book I can read. That's it. It's done. I've read it all.
Dude.
There's also a crazy thunderstorm going on outside, so...
That Rim said wouldn't happen
I
despite
didn't
the
say it wouldn't
video from
happen.
the National Weather Service that I sent.
I didn't say it wouldn't happen. I said it was not enough of a storm to prevent me from biking.
That sound begs to differ with you.
What do you mean with me? I would bike through that. I've biked through worse.
Bike me home then.
Well, you want to sit on my handlebars? That's way more dangerous for you than it is for me. So it's Wednesday, and not to do the meta moment, we almost skipped the show because if you didn't notice, I did upload the last plot episode of season 1 of our show analyzing Shoujo Kakame Utena.
Mm-hmm. Shouldn't you say that for the meta moment?
I could, but I'm talking about it in the news because that almost was our show.
You have no news?
I do have a little bit of news, but all I want to say is it kind of reminded me of something because a long time ago, we did a Geek Nights episode on rewatching, like when you rewatch anime that you watched in the past and why you do it and what shows, how, like every N years, I just get this feeling of it's time to watch Evangelion again.
That's every N hours.
Yeah. Right now, like, so.
I should just watch it when I get home.
So watching Utena again for the, 6th time and taking notes during it, I feel like at this point I have an expert understanding of that show. At least the first 12 episodes.
As much as anyone not named Yukahara can have.
Even Yukahara doesn't fucking know. I mean, you've seen those interviews with him. Why did Toga do X in episode Y?
Because I really like that sort of thing.
Well, that was in the movie. That was no. His answer to that question was basically, well, you'd have to ask Toga. I can't really speak on his behalf. Yeah, fuck you. But I feel like if it's time to rewatch a show and you're an anime person, you should rewatch Shoujo Kakame Utena and watch our show about Shoujo Kakame Utena because goddamn has there never been another show like that. That show stands out as pretty unique. But right now, the show that I like suddenly that clock started ringing, that clock that never rings.
That clock never rings.
I really want to watch Escaflowne again.
All right, go do that.
It's been a long time.
Meh, I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
When was the last time you watched it?
I don't need to watch it.
You remember the nukes?
I remember the nukes.
You remember the nukes? You remember Isaac?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the whole show.
Cat girls?
Yeah.
Okay.
One cat girl.
No.
Oh,
3 cat girls.
What's her name with the orange dress?
Yeah, Maruru. There's 2 other much more important cat girls.
Those are from Tank Police.
It was a cameo. So you got any news?
This really could also be a thing of the day or even a meta moment, but there's so little news because Anime Expo should be this weekend, right?
Oh my God, Anime Expo. A bunch of...
The Gen Con of Anime Cons is this weekend. So that's where all the anime news is. In the meantime, let's talk about this. I was biking around on biking day.
Oh, so we're talking about biking.
On Monday, yep. And I needed lunch. And I remembered Across the street from the Japan Society on 48th Street in New York on the east side, there's a place where you can get lunch without going inside.
Oh.
It's just in that park there, and you can get food and then eat it outside. So I did that. You can even get a milkshake there, which is amazing. And they even, when you get the food, they just hand it out a window at you. So it's like, whoa, you don't have to leave your bike tied up or anything. And I'm looking at the Japan Society, and they got a sign tied up outside, and it's advertising Japan Cuts, which is not about swords, well, not entirely about swords, which is their annual contemporary Japanese film festival. And I said, oh, yeah, that happens every year, and I never go to it. And will I go to it this year? Maybe. Regardless.
I thought you were going to be like, what is it? X. Will I go? Yes. But you're like, what is it? X. Will I go?
Maybe. I will see. The point is, in past years, they've actually had movies that I knew about, like knew what they were and really wanted to see and just didn't go for whatever reason.
Yep.
This year, I don't know any of these things on this list, but just the pictures and titles seem pretty awesome just based on that alone. So let me just say names of a few of the ones that look awesome based on the title and picture. So, Why Don't You Play in Hell? ?
Oh, anything with Jikoku, I'm all down with.
The Mole Song, Undercover Agent Reiji. The Extreme Sukiyaki. I don't know what that's about. The Eternal Zero. I don't know what that is.
I would
either.
eat the shit out of some extreme.
Miss Zombie.
That might be Scary Moe. You don't know.
Tale of a Butcher Shop looks like it's actually a documentary about a butcher shop, which is also awesome.
No.
Wood Job! ! Looks to be about lumberjacks.
Shit.
Which looks awesome.
I would watch that.
Uzumasa Limelight has this amazing samurai lady with a sword in the picture. So, yeah. The Tale of Iya, that looks like some freaking Zatoichi kind of shit, only the dude can see.
We should go do this thing.
Yeah, so, you got to buy tickets to movies and go see them, but when else are you going to see these movies? Unlikely if you speak English and not Japanese will you see these movies in New York at another time.
So, speaking of movies in New York, quite some time ago, we saw Letter to Momo. It's standard, cute, good anime movie. I'm not going to say it's the greatest movie ever, but it's by no means a bad anime movie.
I didn't see it. I'll see it soon.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be in New York City on July 23rd at the IFC Center.
Shocking.
So, if you want to go see it, I would not mind to see it again in the theater. I'm sure we'll see all the same people we see at every anime movie in the city.
Okay. It's
And
a
then we'll all
Ghost in the
go
Shell
get dinner.
Arise get together.
Letter to Momo is cute. It's basically about this girl, and I don't want to spoil anything because you should just watch it. I mean, it's an anime movie. What do we say about anime movies? Just watch them all.
Yep.
So, a bunch of yokai are hanging out in her attic, and
It's a Kitaro sequel?
yeah, I mean, Scott, look at these yokai.
They look like
This is
yokai.
your kind of show.
It's not really as good as Kitaro's dad, though.
No, well, the Kitaro's dad is perhaps the ultimate form of yokai. I don't know if I would take that form myself, though. So, in other news that's also related to Scott's news, biking, Yoa Pedal seems to be really popular. I'm watching it slowly. Scott and Emily are watching it much more ahead of me.
Every episode the day it comes out?
I really like the bad guy a lot.
Why do you like the bad guy?
1, he's creepy. 2, his face looks like a One Piece villain. Need I go on?
That's the reason that you're not supposed to not like him.
Scott,
He is the least likable.
you were talking to a gentleman whose preferred character in Soul Calibur is Voldo.
Is that when you got the Voldo disease? Because that dude is Voldo on a bike.
That dude, I love when he leans like backward around. Like, I'm just waiting for one day his head to like pop off, and it turns out he's some sort of demon.
You're probably going to be upset because I don't know this for sure. I'm just predicting.
I want him to win.
Because it's a predictable shonen. I'm just predicting based on shonen patterns.
He's going to lose the race, and then later he's going to join them.
No, you're going to learn his tragic tale, the reason he wants to win so badly. He's going to become a sympathetic good guy. Just like half the boxers in Hajime no Ippo who are bad guys because they had to fight against the main character became good guys after being defeated.
Why would I hate that? If he has a awesome tragic backstory
because he'll stop being crazy and evil.
Evil good guys?
He's going to be like...
Scott, I am all about the evil good guy. Zelos from Slayers.
He's basically going to be Discord.
Discord from My Little Pony.
That's what he's going to be.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Okay. That's what that guy is going to be. He's going to be nice Discord.
So, well...
He's going to sing the Hime Hime song while he's biking.
So, the voice actor, Jun Fukushima, bought an awesome road bike and had been really getting into biking because of his
Because he
role-
was working on the
Yes. And his bike was just stolen.
We
So
should make
he's
a
asking
US
fans
TV
of the show to keep an eye out for his bike. It was stolen in Shinjuku on June 30th.
He bought the same bike of the character that he voice acts.
A red and black Pinarello Raza with the VIN of 4 Charlie Delta 5100890179.
So he voice acts a red spiky hair guy.
And because
he bought
Japan
his
has
bike.
ridiculous overregulation of bikes, his registration number is Bravo 32178.
Does it have a license plate? How about
yeah,
a GPS
Japan
tracking? Yeah.
licenses bikes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But regardless, bike thieves are one of the few exceptions I might add to my list of things that are worth corporal punishment for when thieves are caught.
Dude, we should just set up bikes, like bait bikes.
And they're electrified?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just die if you touch them. Or if you touch them for longer than a certain... Or if you try to actually ride them, you die.
How about one that just clamps you to it or explodes or...
No, if you actually try to bike on it, like it detects when you're sitting on it and a knife comes out the seat right up in your ass. That way you can't possibly accidentally hurt someone with it who doesn't deserve it.
What if a poor beat cop chasing down a serial like double murderer tries to commandeer that bike?
It's
that's the only
tied
way
up
to
and
catch
locked.
him.
How's he going to get it?
He uses his bike commandeering equipment.
By the time he undoes the bike, the guy's gone.
There's some exigent circumstance that causes this to happen.
Use your cop car or your cop bike.
So, yeah.
Things of the day.
So if you see this guy's bike, anyway, things of the day. So this is not related to anything we've talked about. This is a documentary from Vice, Vice.com. Vice came out of nowhere and went from shock journalism to some of the best journalism or investigative journalism I've seen in recent memory.
I mean, I watched one about this crazy drug in Colombia, and it seemed true, but I'm still... It's weird because it's like they have these documentaries about the crazy underworld in real life, but it's like so unbelievable, which is why it's compelling, but it's also slightly unbelievable.
Yeah, well, see, the first thing I saw of theirs was their documentary on crocodile, that horrible drug.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah, but you know what? Google image search for that. That is not much of an exaggeration.
Wait, was that the same? It might have been a different drug. The one
Yeah, there
where,
was
like,
a different one.
the
that
one
you're
where
talking
like you
about.
barely get any of it and you could die, but also mostly it just lets you control people.
Yes, that's a different one.
Okay,
That's
the one that I
was
saw.
That was the ghost rapes one.
Yeah, that's the one that I saw. It was a Colombian thing.
Yes, this one, the crocodile, is way worse than that.
I don't know. This pretty much seemed like the worst drug in the
Do
universe.
not actually Google image search for crocodile. Like really, you might not be happy.
Anyway,
here's this documentary is benign and awesome, and you should all watch it. Death of the American Hobo. It talks about the history of hobos in the U.S., the modern state of hobos, the last hobo convention where every year they crown the hobo king, and the reporters from Vice actually hobo across the country. And they video it with GoPros.
A hobo living the hobo life, stabbing the folk with my hobo knife. The end.
That was the last good episode of The Simpsons.
Sure.
That was the end. That was the final straw.
Here's a video that is probably everywhere on the internet right now, even though at least the YouTube link that I have only has 2,163 views.
I think this is a compilation of things I've seen in other places.
Maybe. Bears Doing Human Things compilation.
Guys, bears are
There's
awesome.
been enough cat videos and dog videos and every other kind of animal. Bear day.
Bears win for a couple of reasons. One, they can walk on two legs like humans, which already makes them hilarious.
They're
Two,
wicked dangerous.
depends.
They'll fuck you the fuck
Baby
up.
brown bears will totally just hang out unless their mom's around.
Yeah, bears also can reach into the water and just grab a motherfucking fish. Like,
Yeah.
as they don't need no rod. What are you doing with that rod?
But more importantly, they have grabby hands. See also raccoons and squirrels.
Yeah.
I really like grabby hands. But I saw about half the things in this video that's got linked to, I've seen as independent videos all around the internet. So whoever's compiling the story of bears, I salute you.
Yugi.
I think one of my favorite ones, I didn't watch the whole video. I don't know if it was in there, but there's a guy, this is an old one. I think I even used this thing of a day. There's a guy, and he's up in like a blind. I guess he's hunting or something. And there's a ladder, and then he looks down, and he starts videoing, and this bear's just hanging out, and sees the ladder, and is like, huh, what's this? And he starts slowly climbing up and looking around like, hey, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Then the bear gets close to him and he's like, hey, get yourself down. Like, get down from there. Stay away. He just says it really calmly. And the bear stops, looks up at him like, oh, fuck, there's a human there. And just slowly backs down and walks away.
Well, guy had a gun. I don't think he did. He obviously wasn't bear hunting. Otherwise, would have been bad news for that bear.
Have you ever seen the Bad News Bears?
No.
The original movie?
Don't need to.
Oh, that should be a Thursday show.
No.
We should have the Geeknights movie club.
No.
Why not?
We're good. I'll make you watch all long, quiet movies that are 3 hours each.
Yeah, I'll make you watch Gone with the fucking Wind.
I don't care. I like that.
Do you really like that movie?
I'll mind it a lot less than you will.
Have you seen that entire movie in one sitting?
I don't even remember, but I don't care. I'll be happy anyway.
I don't think you would.
I think you're the one who would be unhappy.
Should we have a Gone with the Wind off?
I'll win easily.
So, in about a moment, the book club book is A Canticle for Leibowitz, the precursor to all modern post-apocalyptic science fiction. Pretty much started the genre of me and play God, destroy the world, post-apocalypse.
I don't know. I'm talking about one. I don't think it did post-apocalypse in general, but I'm pretty sure it was the first one where the post-apocalyptic situation and humanity is isolated in some way. Or
Well, I think it's partly that it was
sealed in society.
It was one of the earlier novels that moved from the old style story of apocalypse to this new style, mostly nuclear driven. Because from that point on,
we should go and try to find like an old, like the first story that's truly post-apocalyptic.
the Bible.
That's apocalyptic, not post-apocalyptic.
It's post-apocalyptic. The apocalypse happened in that story. Noah's bullshit. Isolated human on a boat, surviving the apocalypse. It's pretty much straight
Are
up.
you saying Canticle for Leibowitz is a Noah's Ark metaphor?
Yes.
And where are all the animals at?
Did you read A Canticle for Leibowitz yet?
No, I haven't read any more since we did the last episode.
Yeah, Scott, I've read 2 books since I finished Canticle for Leibowitz.
Were there animals?
There were animals in all of those books.
Which ones? Dogs?
Humans, some birds.
Any bears?
Lizards. There were no bears in any book I've read
Fail.
since Canticle for Leibowitz.
Let's write a book about bears. Oh, I have one. It's called I Want My Hat Back.
Not this weekend, but next weekend is Kineticon in Hartford, Connecticut.
The best convention in the northeastern United States.
If you live within a day's travel of Kineticon, it is worth your while. Imagine DragonCon, but you can actually get into stuff. The panels are way higher quality. And
It's
the
mostly
city
it's
it's in
mostly in one building.
and the city it's in is way worse. Seriously, it's super fun. We would not be plugging it unduly.
I wouldn't go to it every year for X years in a row and do hard work to make it happen if it wasn't worthwhile.
If we ever lied to you about a convention, no, I rest my case.
The end.
And also, just to bring it up again, watch our show on Shoujo Kakame Utena. The 12th episode is online. Share that shit around. In fact, share all of our videos on the Reddits and all those places, because the more views they get, the faster we'll crank those things out. I've dumped a ton of videos up recently.
Someone make some of our shit so popular I don't have to work anymore.
Yeah,
Please.
guys, if we don't have to work anymore, you realize there's Geeknights like multiple times a week reliably for the rest of your lives.
Multiple times a day. Morning,
Yeah.
geek morning, geek afternoon, geek
You
night.
realize I would just stream every video game. All of them. I would let you guys pick. I don't care.
RPGs every day.
Yeah,
All right.
stream the RPGs. If I had time to set up like a studio to stream us playing Burning Wheel.
Anyway.
Anyway. So, Bravest Warriors.
So, Bravest Warriors. It's a show. I watched it when there was only one episode of it. And I was like, hey, there's this new show on YouTube, but it's a real show that they're making for reals. But the episode is short, but it's made by the Adventure Time guy.
Yep.
And
I
you can just
ignored
watch it on
immediately.
YouTube for free.
Like, I ignored it in the beginning because there was a lot of stuff on YouTube. I didn't really put the pieces together. I didn't realize it was the Adventure Time people right away. Or at least I didn't realize it was Pendleton Ward.
Yep.
And then I sort of paid attention to it because Scott was watching it. And it's awesome. It's really awesome.
So it's a weird thing, right? Because it's sort of most things like this will give you some sort of like origin story for like what are the Bravest Warriors? Who are all these characters, right? But Bravest Warriors doesn't introduce anything. It puts you right in the middle of whatever it is.
The term for that is in media res.
No, it's not. In media res is for like when you're in the middle of the action.
But it starts you in the middle of action too.
Some episodes it does, and some episodes it doesn't.
For almost every episode starts in the middle of, like the one you just watched. Again, it just starts in the middle of they're in this crazy war with these bugs.
Sure, but in terms of character introductions, right? It's not like, oh, by the way, everyone, this is Catbug. It's just like they're hanging out, and Catbug comes in. It's like, hey, Catbug.
Don't hit me.
It's like they don't introduce this. Where did this Catbug come from? I didn't know they had a Catbug. What is going on here? And it's just there suddenly. And then there's millions of merchandise about it out of nowhere.
The way I described it originally, after I'd watched a little bit of it, was that take Adventure Time and pare it down to the essence of semi-random and humor. Like remove even the small framing story that season 1 episodes of Adventure Time had, remove even that. And that was what Bravest Warriors was. But then it did the same thing Adventure Time did and got increasingly plotty and serious, and all these threads kind of came together, but yet it didn't lose that start in the middle of something without any introduction or explanation aspect that it's got going for it.
Yeah, pretty much every episode, no matter what, is some sort of monster of the week, but you're usually not monsters, right? It's usually like take for example the episode where they have to get the 2 creatures that inhabit their butts to like fall in love during the whatever.
Oh my god.
It's like they're on a mission to save something or to help some alien somewhere. But it's actually pretty rare. I mean, sometimes it is just go and shoot things like on a, that kind of mission. But even episode 1, it's like, oh, there's a time traveling thing to deal with. What's the deal, right? There's a lot of time travel going on in general.
I think what married me to the show was...
Oh, you're married now?
Yeah.
Where should I send the gift?
It was in the first episode when they come into the room. There's like this time paradox loop happening. And then when they come into the room and find themselves all dead in the room, and they're like, yeah, nope, I'm done. Nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
It's that kind of show. But I think what's interesting is you and other people were watching it further before I watched it. So I'd see like the tail end of an episode. And normally, I remember I'd see snippets of Adventure Time. Like I saw, before I watched the show, I saw them, like all the characters singing a song in front of a door. And it looked really good, but it looked like there'd been a whole bunch of character development and buildup that led to that moment. So it felt like that's something that happens later in a show like this. And then watching the show again and seeing all the buildup to that, like that added a lot to it. With this show, if you catch the end of an episode and then later you see the entire series, that little bit you caught at the end of the episode is basically it. like I saw the bit about the paralyzed horse, and then when I saw that whole episode, I was like, oh, that was just in that one episode, like just in that one part.
Well, have you seen all of season 2?
I think I'm one episode behind.
Okay, because there's more paralyzed horse then.
Okay, I'm one episode behind. Spoilers.
Yeah, but it's like it's weird. In Adventure Time, I guess because it's longer or because they have more episodes, right? They can really introduce something and recur it a bunch before bringing it back, right? But like Wankershim, which is a big fucking deal.
It's always been Wankershim.
Sure, but it's like, when did he first appear?
In the Butter Lettuce episode.
In the Butter Lettuce episode.
Which is the best
in the
episode.
Holojon, which is the best episode. And he's just a dude in the Holojon. It's like, there's nothing about him, right? When did Jelly Kid appear? The episode with the losing memory,
donk
on the spaceship, right? And it's just, there's just some Jelly Kid on the thing, and he ejects. And there's nothing about him. But then later, it's like, Jelly Kid, suddenly a big deal. This character that it didn't even have any building. It was just there for like a second, becomes like a whole episode later on or more.
Yep. But no, you're right, because Adventure Time, I think it's just more episodes, and they fill in the details. Like, this show just is like the peaks along the way of what would be a show. You could have a show with the same pacing as Adventure Time that was just Bravest Warriors, filling in all the time between those points. Instead, it's like they have this whole story, and they pick these points along the way, and they only animate those points.
Yeah, I have some of the comics. I haven't read them. I'm curious if the comics are just more Bravest Warriors, or if they fill in a lot of those blanks in between. Like, are they canon?
I almost don't want them to. One thing I like about Bravest Warriors, that Adventure Time has its own lexicon, like its own language, like the way Finn and people say things, like that's Greece, algebraic, mathematical.
I haven't said that in a while.
Yeah, lately Greece has been the thing. I've been saying that lately myself. But in this show, instead of doing that with adjectives, they've been doing it with straight up nouns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they'll be like blah blah blah, the calliope of space, and they just use these terms that literally mean nothing. It's just the gobbledygook that you'd use in like Star Trek: The Next Generation, just applied whenever they needed some crab people nouns.
Yep. I thought like a lot of the sort of technologies that go on that they somehow keep consistent, right? Like they all have these basically Pokemon holograms in these gemmies.
That have zero explanation.
Right. Well, but they keep coming up and actually mattering a whole lot.
Yeah, like in Merriwith Tag.
And and holograms have like mad powers apparently. They can turn them into bazookas and wings and, basically all these powers come from like these little Pokemons that they have. And it's like, whoa, those things do a lot. But they're mostly there visually. They rarely draw attention to them, except for, I think, once when they're introduced, and maybe one other time. They're just always there, and if you don't actually look, it's like, oh, Chris always has the bee, and Dan always has the dog, and Beth's is a cat, and Wallow is the eagle, hawk thing?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, right? And it's like, if you're not paying close attention, you won't realize that.
Or just the little things, like all the characters are actually really well developed, but you only see it through these little snippet lenses. Like Wallow's got all those little animals hanging around him all the time. Like he collects little guys.
Well, he's also the doctor, nominally, even though he's the big guy.
He's also way better than Zoidberg ever was at being a doctor. The level of technology they possess is approaching culture level, too.
Well, I think it's right. I guess the idea is that their parents were even better than them and were like the real, what were they called? The courageous battlers, right?
Yeah.
And I guess their parent, all this shit, I think, is their parents' shit, which is why it's so fucking awesome. And they're sort of like the half-ass people taking over for their parents and aren't as good, and they often fail. So I guess that's where all their cool stuff comes from.
Yeah. Also, just the level of technology in this world is pretty high.
That's also true.
But the only other really interesting, the episodes are so short.
They have a video that's watch all of season 1 in one video. It's an hour.
Even if you could not ask yourself to watch all of Adventure Time with its short episodes, even because there's so many of them, you could watch this entire show.
You could watch almost all of season 1 in less time than it takes to listen to this Geeknights episode.
Exactly. And it's worth watching because this show, and Frederator Studios in general.
Well, the Cartoon Hangover.
Yes. Are this is the model for how to do the equivalent of television in a future of technology.
Yeah, make a show that's relatively cheap to produce, but still high quality. Put it on YouTube for free. Everyone loves it. And then sell $1 zillion of Catbug merchandise.
Yep. And more importantly, invest in creating the show before you've made that money. And if, a bunch of the pilots fail, who cares? Because the one that succeeds, you're going to sell a lot of Catbug backpacks.
And if you've got a little kid who can talk in a funny voice, get them to be a voice actor because that Catbug kid is rolling in it. Oh, my God.
The kid is cute. The Catbug is cute.
He is rolling in it hardcore. I bet they're disappointed they can't sell as much Impossible Bear merchandise because he seems more intentionally merchandised.
I think they like him a lot, but Catbug is more popular.
Impossible Bear is like the chef on South Park.
Well, his greatest moment was gas-powered stick.
Yeah. Well, Catbug's greatest moment was Rebecca.
I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that they do the voice acting for some of these episodes all in the same room.
Yeah, like you should.
Well, like a lot of Japanese shows do, that American shows tend to not do.
It's also, I think, cheaper.
Yeah.
Because you can just get it done quickly and not have to have everyone. Basically, think about it, if your show's 10 minutes, right? And, everyone's has to, takes 20 minutes to record their bit. Well, if they do it all at the same time, that you're not multiplying 20 minutes times the number of people.
Yep. But the voice acting is top notch.
Mm-hmm.
Like this and Adventure Time both just have perfectly excellent, perfectly matched, really well done voice acting. Which once again just proves that anime dubs suck because the people who do them suck.
Yeah. What else is there to say about the warriors that are so brave?
Well, it grew kind of a real plot.
Yeah.
That has
the real plot. The Emotion
echoes
Lord
of Quantum Leap.
Emotion Lord shows up in like episode 2, so it's not like it grew the plot. It was always there.
But the plot became more prevalent and the episodes got more serious.
Yeah.
Merriwith Tag ended on a really bittersweet note.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the concierge is one of my favorite things. He reminds me so much of the guy in Quantum Leap.
There's a lot of weird little things going on there.
Yep. It's one of those shows like some of those comics where you want to pay attention to all the weird little details going on in the background and all the weird little jokes. Like the dialogue is very well written and there's a lot of subtle humor in the dialogue that the show does not go out of its way to point out to you.
Mm-mm. Also, their headquarters is the Iron Giant, which is interesting.
I like how it's invisible,
but it's invisible,
but
no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
It's not like they're trying
There's
to...
like birdhouses sticking out of it.
Yeah. And their ship is a whale.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.